our shop just outside of Kennesaw here in North Georgia. This is part 2 of the restoration of this Paul McCobb Credenza, probably from the mid-1950s. In part 1 we did some inlay repairs and some pretty major damage, and in part 2 we're going to be color matching and finishing this piece. The first step this morning is to color match best we can the inside of the cabinet before we apply color. In other words, the inlays that we put in are a little bit different than the surrounding areas. I want to get them a little bit closer before I start laying color on to blend things in, and I'll show you what I mean right now. Alright, I hope you can see here. What we're trying to do, if you can see how pale this is and where the area that we sanded versus what was left of the color that was on here after this piece was stripped. Now remember, this piece was stripped before I got it. So this may be a dye stain that was put on at the factory, or it may just be the remnants of the color that went on this piece. But regardless, we have this big halo and this large inlay piece that are substantially lighter than the surrounding areas. I want to get these a little bit closer. What I did is I cut out some pieces of maple wood, and that is the color of burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is kind of an orangey brown, and when we put this piece of maple that was stained with the pure burnt sienna dye stain, you can see the color is just way off. But I diluted the dye stain down, and it's actually 6 drops of dye stain and a tablespoon of acetone. Okay, I fooled around with some color, and I think it's pulled in a whole lot better. And I got to again understand this is just preliminary. Remember, this was all sanded and it was all almost white. So now we've pulled it back in. I've used some darker dye, dragged it across lightly with a brush to try to emulate some of these grain lines that come across, this wisping grain line here, to bring it in. You know, it's always frustrating. Anything that you have that's crossed grain is so hard to conceal. But we'll see how we do once we get this sealed up and get some glaze on it and then start laying some colors on it. But this is where we are now. And I think we're a whole lot better than we were. And to be honest with you, it looks a whole lot better in person than it does on camera. Well, we've got some light sanding to do, and then it's time to start sealing this and thinking about color. One of the unfortunate things is that this piece has been stripped, and we really don't know what the original color is supposed to be. Or do we? I pulled off one of the legs, and they didn't get around to stripping the legs. So that's the original color right there. Also notice the quality of the furniture, how the screw was turned right into the leg. Obviously that one's got some damage to it, but interesting to note. So let's go over here to what's called the finisher's color wheel, and I'll kind of show you what I'm planning on doing. Okay, this is called the finisher's color wheel, and basically it has along the outside some of the popular colors used in the furniture industry. And it allows you to see what the colors look like, full strength and diluted, and also when one is mixed with the other. So here is our leg, and if we lay it up here against burnt sienna, you can see that this is the shade that we're looking for. If you look at the burnt sienna sample, 100% strength undiluted versus 100% strength undiluted with what we actually have, which is Mohawk's burnt sienna, you'll see there's a little bit of a difference. And what I'm finding is when the burnt sienna gets diluted, it gets red. Mohawk, in my opinion, Mohawk products tend to be a little bit redder than perhaps you'd want them, but that's a matter of taste. But you can see this is a dark brown with almost purple in it, and this is a brown with a lot of red. So you know, looking to shoot for a color about here, and this would be 100% strength. This is full strength. Let me see if I get this right for you. Okay, this is the opacity. This is when it's full strength opaque, and this is full strength as stain, and then it's diluted 80, 60, 40. And we're looking at very close to between 80 and 100% if that was our color, but I'm not exactly sure that that is what we're looking for. What I did next was, because I know what the products that I use, if you take a look at this stain, I think this is very close, and this is actually just light golden oak, which obviously has a lot of burnt sienna in it, and then more brown, a little bit less red. And I think that's going to be what we want to use as our toner. So now that we've got that decided, I'm going to pull the piece outside and light sand it all and get it ready to get sealed. And once it's sealed, then we can start to apply the color. And we'll keep this leg as our guide. And when we get it as close to this leg as we can, we're done. So that's how we do it. We have 2 coats of sealer on everything. Everything's been sanded, first with 320 and then with 4/0 steel wool, so it's ready now for color. Anyone new to the channel that's not familiar with what I do, I mix up lacquer thinner, dye stain, and a little bit of pre-cat lacquer to make my own toner, and this is the color of the toner that we're going to be putting on. And it's like anything else, you want to kind of creep up on it. You don't want to go too dark too fast, so we'll see. We may have to darken this up and obviously probably put more than 1 coat on, but that's how we're going to sneak up on the color. We'll use the legs as our guide. So the next step is to spray on some color and see how we do. Okay, our first run of color is on, except for the drawers. I put them in there with tape behind them so you can see the difference. You can see how the color has really made our repair disappear. I'm real happy with that. And if you look here, you can see the difference in the color that it was, the color that it is. And then the next big question, obviously, is how is it matching up with the leg color? And there you go. You know, you want the legs to be a little shade darker than the body, but I'm real happy with the tones. It's a very, very close match. So I'm going to shoot these drawers in place. It's a little bit easier to do it while they're up there rather than doing them individually. One of the big benefits of shooting the drawers in place is that I can see instantly that it's matching the rest of the piece as I apply the color. You know, I leave a little tonality, for example, it's a little bit lighter down here, that's fine. But to step back, you can see that everything matches up. Alright, next step's a coat of lacquer.
Here she is, all colored. First coat of lacquer is on. Got to pull this inside. I don't want it sitting out in the bright sun. The sun's coming across the sky. But you can see it's looking really, really good. The color match with the legs is excellent. The repairs are blending in as good as we can hope. So I'm going to pull this back inside the shop and let this first coat get hard. We'll light sand it, and we'll just keep laying on coats of lacquer till I'm happy. There's no sense of you watching me do the same thing over and over again, so I'll bring you back when something new comes up and make sure that you see the final product. But that's pretty much all we're going to do is lacquer it, let it dry, sand it, lacquer it, let it dry, sand it. I may put a little bit of glaze on the repairs to conceal them if I need to. You've seen me do that, that's no big deal. Alright, I will bring you back when something else happens. But so far, so good. Thumbs up on this one, I'm liking this. Well, here she is all done. Multiple coats of lacquer, as we discussed. There's our top, looking pretty good. Come down here, open these sliding glass doors. They're heavy. You can see our repair in there is really just about invisible. Need to wax those. And we had that big putty repair on the side, and that's gone. So I think this Paul McCobb Planner Group Credenza with non-original doors is ready for its new home. Well, listen, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. From our shop just outside of Kennesaw here in North Georgia. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next video. Best regards. Take good care. Bye.